My name is Brayden Windsor. I'm a 17-year-old second-year junior, and I ride for Team Saskatchewan Performance Cycling Program as well as the Novo Nordisk junior team.
Awesome. So how did you get into riding bikes, like before racing even?
So my family's always kind of pushed us into some type of organized sport. So I actually started with biathlon, which is cross-country skiing and rifle shooting. And I really enjoyed that. I liked how kind of different it was, and like not many people were doing it. And I liked being with a team, but not having to rely on a team, which is where I thrived. Like I could rely on myself. And then in the summer, I just started cross training with mountain biking and just fell in love with it. And then after that, I got into the road biking and learned about Team Novo Nordisk and decided that that's what I wanted to do. That's my dream that I wanted to follow. And then that's how I got into riding and racing, yeah.
What was it about road that kind of drew you away from mountain biking?
You know, it was kind of a combination of a lot of things, actually, because first of all, I broke my leg, unfortunately, one year, BMXing, trying out some trick, which was unfortunate. So I was off the bike for a while, and road biking was the safer thing to come back to first. So I started road riding a lot, and Novo Nordisk, although they have had mountain bike opportunities in the past, their main pipeline is based on a road program. Mm-hmm. So that kind of shifted me into it. And of road cycling, I really enjoy like the tactics. Mountain biking is worlds and worlds of fun, but a lot of it is hammer and make sure you know how to move your bike around underneath you. But road cycling is, I wonder what this person's doing. I wonder what they're thinking. What am I thinking? How am I feeling? As well as hammer, mm-hmm. which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. And you're doing all of this as a type 1 diabetic. So how does that affect your racing and riding?
You know, that's a really good question. And I've actually found for myself that instead of being a hindrance, it's actually turned into more of a blessing, because it's actually made me more focused on how I'm feeling, my nutrition, and all the little details, because you do have to focus on a lot of little details mm-hmm. being a type 1 diabetic and continuing to race at a high performance level. And it taught me at an early age to focus on those things so I could progress quicker. And in terms of a racing perspective, it actually doesn't hinder me at all if you control it correctly. And so basically, I'm just like any other racer in the peloton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess compared to a lot of younger athletes, your diet is probably a lot healthier.
Yeah, it shifted that way after I was diagnosed, because obviously I can eat whatever I want as long as I know the carbs that are in it and how to prepare for actually eating that. But it's a lot easier on your blood sugar when you eat more whole things, mm-hmm. and kind of just shifted into incidentally eating healthier things.
Mm-hmm. What's like your go-to favorite meal around race day?
That's an interesting one, because I try and get used to a lot of meals just in case I'm traveling somewhere where I don't have exactly the meal I want. So I really like probably like a breakfast morning of. I usually stick to eggs in some form with toast or oatmeal. Oatmeal has always kind of really been there for me, and it's easy to find almost everywhere, right? So that's kind of what.
Yeah. So you do stuff with Team Saskatchewan. What's like the most fun you've had on a trip? Like, what was the coolest trip?
Coolest trip. We've gone down to, actually, I'll say I have two experiences that stick in my head. So we've been down to Arizona a couple times. And that was really fun. I was a little bit younger. On the team, but it was still great to kind of bond with some of the older guys and learn from them. And on that trip, or one of those Arizona trips, my favorite moment was actually probably climbing Mount Lemmon, because it was I'm a kid from Saskatchewan. I've never seen things like this, and I just had this out of body experience on this desert mountain that is like floating islands in the sky. And that was really profound for me, because I was on my bike and I was like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. This is exactly where I want to be. Like, this is incredible. And then probably the second experience was just with my team at Western Canada Games. They're my best friends. They're the people I always want to be around, and they're always there for me as well as I'm always there for them. So just even like, regardless of racing, just sitting after a race in our room with them, just hanging out and talking, it just, you feel like you're home when you're which is one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, Mount Lemmon is basically the best climb in North America, I think.
Yeah.
Did you get to the cookie shack at the top?
We unfortunately didn't. We went in the time we climbed Mount Lemmon, it was February. So because it's such a high mountain and we didn't want to be too dangerous, we kind of stopped at the ice, which it was unfortunate, but still got to see most of the climb, which was
Once you hit the snow, you're Canadian, you know what snow looks like, it's fine. What's like the best part about riding in Saskatchewan?
You know, that's a tough one, because we don't have kind of the cycling destinations that people dream of a lot. And I would probably say the best thing about Saskatchewan is that it teaches you to be okay with a significant range of conditions for your racing. Like, I've ridden in tons of wind, I've ridden in really cold weather, I've ridden on the trainer a lot, which is like it's mental training for any type of sport to be locked inside for that long. So it's, for me personally, being a competitive cyclist, that's probably the best thing about Saskatchewan, is it teaches me how to cope with the unfortunate things, but also gives me enough things to make me a better cyclist.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good answer. And what are your like goals in cycling? So short term and long term. What are you hoping?
Short term within a year is because of the situation that we're all in right now, my goals have kind of shifted, and now it's basically, I'm doing some of the virtual racing in Canada, but I'm not overly focused on it, because I'm trying to play a little bit more of a long game, and I'm actually heavily focused on training right now. So my short-term goal is basically just to become a stronger cyclist. And we can't really practice any racing, which is, to be honest, a big area for me. I need more race experience. But what I can do right now is ride for 5 hours if I want, because I don't have school, I'm not working. So short term, it's just to improve my fitness as much as I can. Long term, I want to continue with the Team Novo Nordisk pipeline, coming from the junior team now up to the development team, which they race both in North America and Europe. And then eventually, hopefully, onto the pro team. And that's really the dream, is to make the pro team long term. And then other than that, I loved Western Canada Games so much. So I would love to continue my role with Team Saskatchewan at the Canada Games in Niagara, if it happens, obviously. But fingers crossed. That's what I really want to do.